Hey everyone, happy Monday. What a super great Monday I'm sure you all are having. Today I am actually going to try to teach you a lesson online. What's going to happen is you'll go through the lesson. Hopefully, you guys take notes or do whatever you need to get prepared. We will have a quiz on all of this on Friday. You'll have a worksheet on Wednesday. So that's how the week is pretty much going to work. That Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, you will have these slideshows. And on Wednesdays, you'll have a worksheet. And Fridays, you will have a quiz. I'm going to try to keep them pretty short and keep it to the main point, but we are going to still try to get through the rest of our curriculum by the end of the semester. So let's get ready for this. Uh, the only other thing you'll need to know is that during the slideshow, I will have two questions that I will have for you to answer at the end of this to actually get credit for each of the slideshows. So it'll be an opportunity for you to get more credit for actually watching these. And they'll be pretty simple questions that you should either know or have a really good guess of what is happening. So these videos should be relatively short, so let's get into it. So today we are learning about the Industrial Revolution. So what we're actually going to try to learn from it today is just how did it start. We did watch a video on it for our question discussion board last week, so you guys should know a little bit of how it started, but I really want to just get into it and just explain how what we've already learned has impacted what's going on. So let's go ahead and get into this. So we have the 1700s. The Industrial Revolution is going to start in England and it is going to transform everything in England. What's going to happen is rather than literally having to just like plow and sow seed and hand stitch things and literally just like walk in urine. I don't know if you guys remember that video of him actually having to, the guy from the medieval period having to create um, new materials by actually walking in urine, like human or cow urine. They're going to make this process of actually creating clothes that's going to industrialize that portion. We're going to have the industrialization of pretty much every single industry. Even new farming techniques are going to come out and create this agricultural revolution. So by the 1900s, we're going to see that it's spread through Europe, the United States, and it's going to like dominate the rest of the world. It's going to be a huge, huge revolution. All right, so what we're really going to talk about is what was life like before the Industrial Revolution? You guys have learned all of this, but so I just want this to really be a recap for you guys on what was happening in the world in the 1700s. So let's look at these pictures. It will really give you a hint on what's happening. This is what one of the questions I would like you to answer when you do finish watching this video. Just go ahead and watch it, answer the question, what was the life like before the Industrial Revolution? These pictures definitely give you some hints, but we will talk about it right now. So life before the Industrial Revolution, people worked and lived on small farms. They used the three field system from the medieval period, which was by far leagues better than what they were using. Remember, they invented the heavy plow, the crop rotation system, which is a three field system. But remember, that was not even the best system that they could have had. They were still overusing the ground. They were growing almost the same stuff all the time there. And they would not use anything new because it was their livelihood. Could you imagine trying to like experiment with something that your family literally needs to survive? Like, no one is going to do that. If I had to go out there and make tomatoes every day for, like, grow tomatoes for Miss Atherton and I to survive, if I am growing tomatoes and it's working for my family, I'm not going to try anything else to try to make tomatoes for other people's family. It just doesn't make any sense. So it really did keep the population from growing too. So say I have two kids that are helping me on the farm and I have enough food to sustain those two kids. If I try to bring a third kid into the world, I would have to at least increase my land or increase my production to actually produce more food to feed my family. And remember, we're feeding our own families, or we're making enough food to sustain our lifestyles, and that's it. That was all they were focused on. It really makes sense. It's a really simple lifestyle. I'm sure with all of you guys being cooped up in your houses and all of these different states going on lockdown, a lot of them probably wish they were self-sustaining. I would assume at this point in time, and you wouldn't have to go to the grocery store for anything. Um, Another thing is that we're going to have not only an industrial revolution, but we're going to have an agricultural revolution. So these people that were having enough food and were having enough money and power, as like that increased and towns increased and people stopped relying on just farming as a job, we're going to see these new revolutions in Europe happening. Because remember, Europe has been pretty much sustaining itself. So they have all of these new colonies that are bringing in money and wealth using mercantilism, and they are going to start actually experimenting. So they're going to bring in fences. Fences seem like a really simple concept, but before this, we would have people like shepherds who would actually go like with their flocks out into the fields to make sure that they didn't get hurt. You would have to actually like go with your cattle while they're grazing to make sure that they didn't get hurt. The invention or putting up of fences was actually a huge cultural agricultural revolution for them. Like not having to like sit there with your food while it ate saves so much time for them. Another thing was more crop rotation. So they figured out how to rotate their crops properly so that they weren't killing their soil. Corn and potatoes. These are huge because they came out of the Americas as the part of the exchange that they had when they first got to the Americas, and they are really easy to sustain. They a lot of them grow underground, so you don't have well potatoes do, so you don't really have to worry about things eating them. And then they started making better plows and seed drills where they could actually get the seeds down into the ground. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but you actually stick them in the ground, you crank the handle, and it takes this allows you to drop seeds further into the ground. So these are the huge things in farming that are going to lead to a population increase. And like I always say, when you have a surplus of food, you are going to start getting a surplus of babies. So when people are start getting comfortable, there is a huge population increase. So let's go ahead and look at that population increase. So here's from the 1700s to the 1800s. So remember, Russia's really cold. They don't have a huge amount of farmable land. So these inventions actually, you can see, impacted Russia the most out of everyone else. But you can actually see that there's a huge steady increase for everyone that was involved in this agricultural revolution. So remember, 1700s to 1800s, like millions and millions of people being brought into the world. I mean, Russia went from 13 to 36 million people. That is a huge population increase. They were very, very busy people. All right, so let's actually look at after the increase in population, we're seeing that more people actually needed jobs. So what's going to happen is we're going to actually get the start of the Industrial Revolution because of this. So we're going to get more people that are looking for jobs, willing to take jobs in mining, trying to gather natural resources. Remember, England was super rich in iron and coal. So they started mining coal, which was probably the biggest resource that they had. Another thing is that England's economy was amazing. So you can see here that England had banks. They had a good in government that was like trying to pursue more wealth. They were colonizing other countries, and with that colonization, they were looking for ways to actually increase their wealth, especially because they were a capitalistic society. So they were trying to increase their wealth through capitalism, which meant having more stuff. Another thing about colonization is England was doing a lot of it, and the places that they would colonize had super cheap raw materials that they would send back. Obviously, it was very cheap because they were using mostly slave labor, or at least like being in control of the people so that they had this fear of not giving them what they needed. Uh, we'll take a look at the last thing that we're going to look at today, which is just a map, and it's going to have the last question of the day. So we have this map of the railroads. So tomorrow we're going to be learning about the increase in everything that came with the Industrial Revolution. So we're really going to be getting into the nitty gritty of like why the Industrial Revolution happened. And we're going to really be looking at like the major world impacts of the Industrial Revolution. So like, what did it start with? Where did it go from here? And it will really almost bring us into the 19th century, where we're going to see that all of this industrialization kind of leads to some turmoil within Europe and within the rest of the world. So the last question I really have for you is, why do you think there was this huge growth of railroads in Europe besides transportation? So I really want you to think about it. Like, obviously, they're going to be transporting goods throughout the rest of Europe, but is there another reason for the increase in this mode of transportation? So really think about it. Go ahead and do that, and um, write it in the space where you can turn it in, and I will give you credit for that. Just try to do this in just a few sentences. It shouldn't take you too long. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. If you have any questions, go ahead and either message me or email me. I would be happy to answer them for you. Um, and remember, this is a video, so you can pause it so no one can say, you went too fast through the slides. Oh, it's going to be amazing. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.